Observe this fluid dynamic model. Biologically, an emotion is a strictly physiological energy cycle. It arises, peaks as kinetic energy, and then naturally dissipates. But human beings frequently interrupt this biological process. This interruption creates what is known as an inexperienced emotion. You experience this whenever you feel the intense urge to cry, but force yourself to stop. It happens when you are angry but choose to remain completely silent, or when you are terrified but instruct your body to act strong. In all these instances, a mechanical sequence begins but fails to resolve. The biological cycle initiates but is aborted before reaching its natural conclusion. Aborting the cycle does not destroy the energy. The biological momentum has nowhere to go, leaving the unexpressed emotion as a trapped physical artifact within your own body. The clinical term for this systemic blockage is emotional suppression. Any biological system depends on a continuous flow of intake and elimination. When an emotional impulse is triggered, but its physical expression is blocked, the nervous system becomes congested. Energy has entered the pathway, but the exit mechanism has failed. Unreleased emotional energy travels through the nervous system until it hits a blockage, where it abruptly freezes. In somatic experiencing, a framework focused on body sensations, these incomplete emotions don't fade. They become permanently frozen kinetic charges lodged in the tissues. Cognitive avoidance creates a physical liability. Your conscious mind may have moved on from a stressful event, but your physical nervous system is now actively holding a frozen kinetic charge. This topographical map shows the human body divided into clinical zones, with the upper respiratory areas highlighted here. The physical body does not store the narrative story of a trauma. It strictly stores the feeling pattern. The chest, specifically the area surrounding the heart, serves as the somatic storage site for unmet grief, profound loss, and rejection. When unexpressed, the physical symptom is measurable. It presents as a chronic sensation of heaviness or severe constricting tightness directly across the sternum. Moving upward, the throat acts as the bodily reservoir for the unspoken truth. It holds the words and defenses you chose to swallow. The resulting physical manifestation is a literal choking feeling or the persistent physical sensation of a lump obstructing the airway. Emotional pain reliably solidifies into highly localized physical tension in these upper respiratory zones. Returning to the topographical map, the areas now shown in a warning color correspond to suppressed action and threat response. The jaw acts as the primary storage center for suppressed anger and the desperate need for control. When anger is continuously restrained, it fatigues the jaw. This trapped energy physically expresses itself through subconscious jaw clenching and chronic tooth grinding, particularly during sleep. Moving down to the gut, we find the primary site for the unprocessed fear response. Trapped anxiety locks directly into the enteric nervous system. This is a vast, semi-independent meshwork of neurons governing the gastrointestinal tract. When fear freezes here, it is felt physically as severe knots and chronic baseline uneasiness. Subconscious survival instincts like fight or flight demand muscular action. When aborted by the rational brain, those commands fatigue the mechanical muscles of the jaw and the delicate neural network of the gut. This view highlights the shoulders and hips, complete with vectors pointing downward to illustrate load-bearing capacity. These are the structural centers of human anatomy. The shoulders operate as the somatic storage site specifically designed for responsibility overload. Taking on more than you can handle generates a physical manifestation in these joints, producing a literal sensation of crushing weight and extreme muscular tightness. At the base of the torso, the hips act as the deepest storage site for long-term emotional memory and vulnerability. Trauma held in the hips creates severe stiffness and a baseline survival tension that physically restricts your range of movement. The shoulders brace against pressure, the jaw clenches for control, and the hips lock down. Over time, the entire musculoskeletal system hardens into a rigid cage built out of unexpressed emotional energy. The systemic outcome of this full-body storage is a constantly escalating internal physical pressure. This pressure volume graph charts trigger intensity on the x-axis against reaction output on the y-axis. The continuous accumulation of frozen energy sets the stage for a massive vertical spike in reaction output caused by a minor trigger. In this state, the intensity of a reaction is disconnected from the situation at hand. That massive spike is not a reaction to the present moment. It is old, stored emotion finally escaping and violently venting through a new vulnerability. An irrational overreaction is a perfectly logical mechanical venting of long-term somatic pressure. Cognitive analysis and somatic release are distinct processes. Analyzing the story behind a trauma does not evacuate the physical tension held within the muscle fibers. Step 1 of the release protocol is to feel without story. You must locate the physical tension in your body without allowing your brain to analyze the narrative behind it. Step 2 is to allow. You must intentionally shut down the psychological suppression reflex that stops the feeling from peaking. To achieve this, give your nervous system an exact internal instruction. Explicitly signal to your body, this is safe to feel. True emotional release begins only when the dominant cognitive brain surrenders control to the physical nervous system. Step 3 is to move it. Because the blockage is a physical artifact within the body, completing the frozen cycle requires mechanical physical action. Venting demands specific physical mechanisms. Deep breathing, shaking, and stretching force the kinetic charge to move. Crying serves as a powerful, fully mechanical release valve. Step 4 is expression. To clear the upper respiratory storage zones in the chest and throat, you must externalize the unsaid truth. You can speak it directly, write out the exact feelings, or even whisper them to yourself. The objective is to physically move the acoustic energy out of your throat. Emotions are designed by nature to move. Stagnation creates tension, and tension creates disease. Emotional constipation is the physical residue of every feeling you refuse to finish.